Alrighty, everybody. Welcome back to the pod. Today's episode, we are going over the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist. And this episode is my futile attempt to get any female to listen to this podcast, dude, because I feel like art thefts, especially like this art theft in general, like nonviolent stealing, dude, chicks love it. And this art theft especially, you could construe it in a way, and we'll get into this later in the episode, but it does get sexy as hell, dude. Like if I didn't have the image in my mind of two like big-headed like Irish Boston dudes stealing fucking stealing these paintings and shit, it would have taken a different tone in terms of the sexiness, dude. I'd be talking all deep voice and shit like, and then she came in, you know what I mean? She was dressed as that. I mean, I don't know. Cops are hot. I mean, that's why. And I was thinking it was funny. So these two dudes, spoiler alert, they did dress up as cops, and I was thinking, dude, it would be so funny. This is like a gag from like a what's that guy's name? Martin Short, the fucking dude from The Jerk, whatever that guy's name is. It's like a gag from like any SNL alumni movie or made a movie made by an SNL alum from like 1980 to 2005. I feel like this is a gag. Like one of the dude buys like a female cop outfit, and they have to like he seduces them. He like pulls out, you know what I mean? He kind of looks like a chick, but then he pulls back the suit to like show his cleavage, but it's just like a hairy fat dude chest. I don't know. I thought that was funny, but look, you can imagine these people. If you want to imagine them as chicks, I don't blame you, because these are just two big fucking inbred actors from fucking Boston. So we're gonna get into a little bit of the background as to probably why this museum was the one that was chosen to be heisted on. You know, and I'm calling this a heist because heist it has a sexy sound to it. Theft does as well, especially thieve. Oh, that's a nice smooth word. I could imagine like the fucking what's that guy's name, Barry White or whatever, saying thieve. Um, but anyway, uh, so we're gonna get into a little bit of background on the museum and why it was hit. So the museum was built by Isabella Stewart Gardner in 1903 to house her personal art collection. And I don't know if that's unique. I think that's probably most museums. Like most museums are like named after people, or at least like a wing of the museum is. So I imagine that's what most museums are, especially like art museums. But Isabella Stewart Gardner and her husband come from like real waspy old money New England types, you know what I mean? Like people that were on the Mayflower. The people that like yeah, they were there in like the 1600s, you know what I mean? They were fighting the Mohawks one on one. Um, Probably not her ancestors, dude. They were probably rich as hell. They were probably the one that brought like the first slaves to America. Like that's the type of family we're talking about here. And I tried to look up like how they amassed their fortune, and it really didn't seem like too horrendous. Like spice trading, I don't know, maybe spice trading. Now that I'm saying it, it probably is horrendous. It's just a bunch of dudes in like the jungle with machetes and shit. So it's probably not great. In terms of like like working conditions for the employees employees in quotation marks, but then again nothing was. um so that's the type of family they come from, and rich as hell, dude. Like I think it said that her husband, or like her husband's family, was like the richest family in America at one point. um but from 1903 until 1924, the museum was managed by Isabella Stewart Gardner, and that she had like total control over all of it. Obviously, dude, she was like a bored housewife. They might have had a couple kids, but she definitely wasn't taking care of them, dude. They definitely didn't recognize her face. You know what I mean? Um, they definitely had like a person, a special type of person taking care of them. But anyway, Isabella decided what artworks she wanted in the museum. I mean, obviously, but more importantly, like where they were to be placed inside the building. So she wanted it to be like, I guess, a very specific experience, and she wanted people to look at all these certain paintings at like the same time. I don't know. I don't really understand like art like that. Like art looks sick, but it's not an experience. Like you could put a mummy fucking what's that called? Sarcophagus right next to like a Monet painting, and I'd be like, dude, both equally sick. This fucking rules. So that's just my personal take on it, dude. Um, but Isabella left the museum with 3.6 million, and this was like I think it was like 64 million in today's money. But that I don't know, maybe she put it in like a special account. They definitely didn't have accounts in 1924, and if they did, like 4 years later, the entire economy collapsed. So she didn't leave him with a whole ton of money. Um, but the stipulation for this money was that the museum was not to be like altered, like especially no moving paintings and stuff. Um, yeah, so no serious renovations, no buying or selling paintings. That's important. And most importantly, no moving the art. So it was always in like the entire time, like in its existence, all the art was in the same place. And I think that might have also been why like the thieves chose to hit this place, or the dude who planned it chose to hit this place, because it was like you know exactly where it is. You can get it, get out like efficiently. You're not looking around. You're not like it would be funny if like the thieves were looking around for the art and they came across like some painting, like one of those like abstract paintings that's just shapes and colors, and they just like it fucking like shock their brains, and they're like, "Oh my God, I need to change my life," or like some shit like that. Um, so by the 1980s, the museum was running out of money. Yeah. She didn't leave him a ton of money. The fucking economy collapsed like 4 years later. It wasn't so yeah, they probably weren't doing too well. And it's also in Boston, and it's kind of like in the heart of Boston. So I don't know if that's where like the rich like gentrifiers live. Maybe this place later got gentrified and they were like, fucking yes, dude. They were probably pulling for the gentrification. The second they saw like a froyo shop spring up there, they were like, dude, the museum is back. Um, but yeah, it's kind of in the heart of Boston, I think, somewhere around there. And as we'll get it later on in the story, when I tell the story of the robbery, I don't think this is in a part of Boston where like the academics and stuff live. I don't think these people are super appreciative of art. Um, but anyway, the museum didn't have climate control or an insurance policy. And this is where one of my theories comes in, dude. I think Isabella Gardner Stewart's ghost or Isabella Stewart Gardner. My bad. If the ghost is listening to this and the theory is right, fucking, you know what I mean? Tap me on the shoulder or something, whisper in my ear. I'll definitely like freak out and punch a hole in the wall, but I'll know my theory is right. Um, so this is where my conspiracy theory comes in, dude. And I've been thinking ghosts are the ultimate conspiracy theory. Like, could you imagine like some dude like trying to explain how 9/11 happened or whatever, and it was like, no, it wasn't George Bush, it wasn't the Jews, it wasn't the Saudis, it wasn't even Al Qaeda, dude. That plane really didn't do shit. A ghost was just in there donkey kicking down steel beams. I just thought it would be funny, like a dude whose every conspiracy revolves around ghosts. But this is my ghost conspiracy. So the museum was in like complete disrepair. The paintings were probably not complete disrepair, but it wasn't great. And climate control is really important for like paintings and like delicate things like that. Like if a painting is exposed to the sun or to like heat or cold too much, like the pigment of the paint starts to like fade and like the actual paint starts to crack and shit. And so I think her ghost was like, all right, fuck it, dude. I'm just gonna get to, at least I'll get it to someone who's gonna take care of it. I think that's my conspiracy theory. She was like, we just gotta get this shit out of here. So she like went up to like some fucking Irish dude in a bar, some passed out drunk Irish Boston dude. And he's like, what? All right, well, I was gonna try to, let's go steal the painting. That was the worst Boston accent ever. Um, but that is my conspiracy theory. And there was no insurance policy, which is how much can the insurance cost that they weren't able to cover it? But anyway, in 1982, uh, an uncovered robbery plot prompted the museum to upgrade security. And the improvements that they implemented were 60 infrared motion detectors that's inside of the building. And those are lasers, dude. We're talking back to the sexy art thieves, dude. You know what I mean? Like dudes dipping, chicks, dudes, whatever you're into, dipping beneath lasers, like breathing heavily and stuff. The breathing heavily is more of a chick thing. I've realized chicks just love when dudes breathe heavy. You know what I mean? Just, and I think it's a very certain type of breathing heavy on a very certain type of dude, dude. Because I know there's no way my breathing heavy is fucking turning any, even the most like disgusting, like the most disgusting, like horny fucking gay dude would not be turned on by my heavy breathing. Because I really only breathe heavy when I'm like working out. And when I work out, dude, I'm just full pug mode. I'm just, you know what I mean? And that's the sign of a good workout. Like if you're not breathing like an inbred animal or human, and if you don't, more importantly, look like an inbred animal or human, like your hair's all fucked up, if you don't look like the Whitakers after a workout, dude, hate to say it, you're not doing it right. So they put in a few lasers where these thieves are probably breathing heavy as hell around the lasers, dude. Look, I gotta paint an image for the chicks. It pains me to have to do that, but I have to. Um, as well as 4 external security cameras and a few new guards. And no cameras were put inside the building due to Isabella's requests to not change it too much. And I think that's just cheap as hell. They might have had to run a few new wires, but like I feel like if you can get in like the ceiling, you can run all those wires through the ceiling. You don't need to rip up the walls and shit to do it. So I think they were just like cheap as hell, dude. And only four cameras. Like this is a pretty big. It's like an art gallery, so it's pretty big. And so they just had like four probably very shitty. And this is 1982, like shitty ass cameras. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if like they showed the security system and it was just like four like handheld camcorders, you know what I mean? Like family cameras, like just duct taped to the outside of the building. Like they were cheap as hell. Um, but the guards were underpaid, like they made barely above minimum wage and could only call the police via a button in the building. So that was like their only way to like counteract any art thieves. And this is like very different, I guess, from other museums. So other local museums had fail safes, which required the guards to check in with the police every hour, like on the hour, or else the police would just automatically show up. So turns out you can hire the police. But the security flaws were well known amongst the guards. And I feel like just the general public, like you can look at this building. I don't know if there's any like pictures of it from that time. Um, but I probably you can probably look at it and tell. And the building isn't the inside is like beautiful, but the outside is like it just looks like a regular building. Like if going back to my ghost theory, dude, there's definitely ghosts in this building. Like this building looks like it used to be like an orphanage where like children like you know what I mean? Like they ate too much sourdough and their stomachs exploded or something. Like that's the type of building this thing looks like. So now we're getting around to the actual robbery. So we're gonna start a little bit before the actual like they get in there and start taking paintings and shit. So around 12:30 a.m. on March 18th, 1990, St. Patrick's Day partygoers saw the thieves. Um, and obviously they didn't do anything because it's Boston. They were just like, oh, two dudes are dressed up like cops. I don't know. They're probably trying to get like free donuts or something. But the thieves were disguised, like I said, as policemen and were sitting in a parked hatchback. So this is not a big car, and this explains like why they took what they took in a certain way because it's not, you know what I mean? They didn't rent a U-Haul and park that bitch outside. They probably could have. I mean, as we'll talk, they probably could have taken this whole museum. I mean, if they just showed up with like some drills or something, this museum would not exist anymore. They would have taken like the plants outside of the courtyard if they could. Um, but their car was parked about 100 feet from the side entrance. Two guards were on duty that day or that night. Rick Abbott, 23, and Randy Heston, 25. And I was looking into it, dude, and this goes back to my Isabella ghost theory, wanting the paintings to get stolen so that they could be in better hands. Because, like I said, she's real waspy, like a real like English type. You know what I mean? And the two people were Wop. Abbott was a Wop. Heston was a German. And I feel like people might like think of German as like kind of up there with like the wasp shit, but I feel like this lady's so waspy. She's like, the savages that come from the forests, you know what I mean? Like that type of shit. Like if she sees like a tree that's not like perfectly manicured, she's like, dude, what the fuck kind of neighborhood are we in, dude? Like you got to think about where her and her ancestors just completely flat, no trees left, just like a shitty island. You know what I mean? Just like there's no chance anyone like a caveman could not live there. It's just grass. Um, she basically comes from a cow island. That's what I'm saying Ireland and Britain are. But she probably hated the Irish too. God damn, the wasps are racist as hell, especially towards the whites. But Abbott was an experienced night guard, uh, but it was Heston's first night shift. One guard patrolled while the others sat at the security desk to call the cops, and he had like a walkie-talkie and a flashlight. So if he like saw someone, he could be like, "I'm gonna try to do Italian in Boston at the Christopher, fucking call the cops. They're still a painting." Damn it, dude. Good thing no one's listening. Um, So yeah, that was kind of the setup, and like I said, it was just one button on the desk. That was the only way they had to call the cops, and that was probably also due to like her no renovations rule. You know what I mean? Um, but between 12 and 1 a.m., smoke alarms went off while Abbott was on patrol. Abbott didn't see any smoke, so he disabled the fire alarm panel before opening and closing the side entrance. And this is like where you can kind of be like, oh, he was in on it, but we'll get to it later. There's no way this dude was in on it. Um, but this is where I think like the thieves might have like did a little more than what people think they did. I don't know. I didn't read the whole investigation because that's impossible. But like maybe they like purposely like tapped into the wires outside, I don't know, and like set off the fire alarm just to be like, all right. these dudes really don't give a fuck. They're like, I'll let this whole place burn down. You think I give a fuck about a bunch of paintings, dude? I got kids at home. I'm surprised the guards didn't steal some. They might have been taking some shit on the side, you know what I mean? Like a Chinese pot here. Oh, just a little sketch. I'll take that, you know what I mean? Get the kids some braces. That very well could have been happening at this point. Um, so yeah, he disables the thing, opens and closes the side entrance, which was where the guys were kind of like parked outside of, but he probably didn't see. He probably went out for like a smoke or something, you know what I mean? Hit the jewel real quick, went back inside. Um, but Abbott returned to the security desk after that. Um, and he didn't really tell the dude anything, because I mean that's how little these people cared. This is basically you're just taking like cashiers from Walmart, and not the dudes who are like super into it and they like scan it all quick and stuff and like bag it themselves. Like the ones that are completely dead inside. Like you ask them like, "Yo, can I get like a thing of like Marlboro Lights?" And they're just like they just like stare at you with like their eyes are open, but somehow their eyelids are almost all the way closed. You know what I mean? That type of look. So that's kind of what these dudes were moving like. That's my guess at least. Um, but at 1:20 a.m., the thieves, disguised as cops, approached the side entrance and rang the buzzer. The thieves spoke to Abbott over the intercom and claimed that they were responding to a disturbance call. And so at this point, Abbott is the guy behind the desk. He was on patrol, and now Heston's on patrol. Um, Abbott, thinking that like a party goer had like jumped over the fence or like threw was like egging it or something, he just was like, "Fuck it, I'll let the cops in." And he let the cops in at 1:24 a.m. And then once inside the locked foyer, which is like you go through one door and then there's a little room and then there's another door and then you're in the museum. So that's kind of what the foyer is, at least in my that's basically what it is. Even if it's like a bigger room than that, even if there's like a couple art pieces in there, that's like essentially its purpose to like trap people in there in case they're trying to steal some shit. Or yeah. Um but once inside the locked foyer, the men demanded that Abbott get out from behind the desk, saying that he had a warrant out for his arrest. And it was also during this time, dude, back to like the Martin Short, like shitty SNL alumni movie fucking thing. He noticed that one of the guys had a fake mustache. And this is the point in the movie where they maybe like break the fourth wall. Like the guy behind the security desk like looks at the camera and it's like he's like, really? And then it cuts to the fucking one of the thieves, and he has like those glasses on with like the attached like big nose and the mustache. I don't know. I thought that was fun. Um, but before being handcuffed, uh, Abbott radioed to Heston to return to the security desk. So yeah, he was like, "We have a warrant for your arrest." Fake mustache, fucking slaps the cuffs on him. But before all that happened, he told Heston to come back because obviously the cops are there. Both of these guys got to talk to him real quick. But the men handcuffed Heston after he came back and revealed their intention of robbing the museum. The men's eyes and mouths were duct taped before they were led to the basement and secured to a pipe and a workbench. And the thieves did all this without asking for directions. So yeah, it was pretty clear that the thieves, by the way they like robbed the place and the way they like, I don't know, just did the whole thing. Like they knew what they were doing before they got in there. Which I mean, you really didn't need to know. Like if you could get both of those guys in hand, you could have cleared the place. You could have been in there. I mean, when the museum opened, and nobody would have noticed. Um, but yeah, they take him down there, fucking tie him to some shit real quick. So the thieves began their stealing at 1:48 a.m., 13 minutes after they had tied the guards up. And this was probably because they were like, fuck it, we don't want to be in the middle of we don't want to be like deep in the building if like the cops show up. We want to be like near an exit, fucking run out, hit the sewers and dip. Um, so that's what they were doing. So the thieves began by breaking glass and cutting out the canvases from the paintings. Several pieces had indications that the thieves tried to steal them but were unable. So yeah, it was like there was like one like there was like a few different pieces. Like there's one that was like it was painting on wood and the thieves probably didn't realize that at first and they were like trying to rip it off the wall, but they realized it and they were like, fuck it, we can't this ain't going in the hatchback. But in all honesty, they could have like thrown some ratchet straps over that thing and like attached it to the roof and they would have been fine. Um, but yeah, they didn't steal that shit. And they probably, fuck it, we'll get to that later. One of the rooms, which had a painting stolen, had no indication from the infrared scanners that anyone went in during the robbery. So yeah, this place was a piece of shit. Um, After they had stolen what they could, the thieves went and asked the tied up guards if they were comfortable and did. This is where we go from like a shitty like SNL alum movie to like a $400 million budget Netflix movie starring Ryan Reynolds. Like, you boys all right? Oh yeah, you're comfortable. All right, but that's not the. How are you guys doing down there? You comfortable? And then Ryan Reynolds like looks at the camera and winks and does like a Deadpool pose or something, and then he leaves. Um, but yeah, so they went and they were like, "Are you guys comfortable?" Ha ha ha. And then the thieves took the tapes from the camera. Um, and then the data printout from the lasers. I don't know what that data looks like. Maybe it's like a thing, like it's a spike when like someone crosses the infrared. I don't know, maybe something like that. But they left the hard drive that had the data from the lasers on it. So that's how the cops were able to know like where they were at what times. But that really doesn't help you at all, because it's like obviously we can tell where they were by the stolen paintings. Um, uh, anyway. The frame for Shea Tortoni, which is the painting. You guys should look this up. It's like a guy and he's just looking dubious as hell, dude. He's like writing in a notebook and he's like if it's a picture, he's looking at the camera, you know what I mean? But he's just and it's kind of it's not like a it's not abstract, but it's not the most realistic painting. Like I don't know. I don't know how like the painting process goes, but it looks like it's like a step before they put the final touches on it. But you can tell, dude, he's got some whimsy in his eyes. He's like a shisty type of guy, you know what I mean? But he's looking at the dude who's painting it while he's writing and stuff. And he's just I think that's why they left that one there. The frame, at least for that one, at the security desk, because they were like, dude, we're just so dubious and like fucking, you know what I mean? Fuck. What's the word? Not malicious. Fuck, what's the word? I don't know what the word is. But you know what I mean? We're just like a couple of dubious little dudes, dude, just stealing right out from underneath it. That's why I think they did it. Or I think that's funny if that's why they did it. But maybe they're just like, fuck it, we'll just leave this one here. I don't know. Um, but between 2:40 a.m. and 2:45 a.m., the side entrance door was opened multiple times, and this was just them taking shit to the car. And they were probably doing this shit real casual, like, you know what I mean? Like when people are moving into college and like someone's holding the box and opening up the door for the other person to get through, and they're just chatting. They're like, dude, fuck this shit. Calculus, I really got to take calculus. Fucking, I'm a business major. I'm not gonna use the degree anyway. Um, but anyway, the robbery lasted for a total of 81 minutes. And I guess that includes like the time. Really, it lasted for 81 minutes? I guess. Yeah, that sounds about right. But that's like from the time that they like got into the building, not like the time they started like cutting paintings out and shit. Um, but anyway, the next shift guard arrived later that morning, and called the security director upon not being let in. The director then called the police, who found the guards still bound in the basement. Which I mean, they were probably snoozing at this point, you know what I mean? After like an hour of being tied up, you know what I mean? Like you wiggle the duct tape off so you can kind of talk to the other dude, and you're like, fuck it, I might as well pass out. If I'm getting paid, I might as well, you know what I mean? I'm getting paid anyway, whether I'm here, you know what I mean? I'm not doing my job anyway, might as well take a nap. Um, but yeah, they found him still tied. The police found him still tied up in the basement after the security director, which was probably like a 17 year, it was like a 17-year-old kid who like dropped out of high school, and he was like, "Yeah, I'd probably be a pretty fucking good security director. I like totally beat this dude up one time," and they like hired him. Like that's probably what we're dealing with. Um, but the total value of the items stolen is around $600 million in today's money, which is just, I feel like someone fucking could have done something about this. So 600 million is like the amount stolen. That's not the amount total. And maybe it's like inflated and stuff because it's stolen. It's like, dude, this is stolen, so it's more rare or something. I don't know. But so there was probably $1 billion, close to $1 billion, worth of. Let me look up because they didn't steal the most valuable painting, as we'll talk about in a second. Um, but they didn't steal the most valuable one, so 600 million just in the ones they stole. So let me, yeah, doesn't fucking have anything. All right, fucking whatever. So, but that one's probably, if that one's more valuable than the ones they did steal, my guess is around like $300 million. So there was probably $1 billion worth of fucking paintings in this building, and these dudes just like in the most foolish fucking. You could have gone to the dollar store and pulled off this fucking because there's no way they got like real cop uniforms. You know what I mean? They could have pulled up with the FBI female body inspector shirt on and robbed that place blind for billion fucking dollars, dude. Just rent a U-Haul and hit fucking Spirit of Halloween, and you're a billionaire. I mean, it's crazy. Someone sh could have done something about this. I'm not saying should have, because I've looked at these paintings, and Shea Tortone's the best one, dude. Just a dubious looking dude staring at the painting. Um, but the most valuable painting was The Concert by Vermeer, and I think they were saying that was only one of 34 Vermeer paintings in the world, or maybe it's the next one we're gonna. Yeah. So it's one of only 34 in the world, and like apparently it's really good. I don't know. Um, but yeah, 250 million, and it's believed to be the most expensive object ever stolen. And I was thinking, dude, what is the most valuable? Maybe not the most valuable object, but like I don't know. Someone at like some point, like fucking when the Romans like conquered the Celts and like took that land from them, like London, that's probably worth over 250. I don't know. Maybe that's the most valuable thing stolen. But then I was thinking, there's no way that's the most valuable object ever stolen. Like after the collapse of the USSR, dudes were like hot wiring submarines and like stealing nukes and shit. You know what I mean? Like I think that might be more valuable. But 250 is fucking a lot. And this painting, it's not what you know what I mean? Like I don't. It's good. It's a really good painting, but um, yeah, it's just not all that. Yeah, it's not even like a full concert. It's not like a big like orchestra or Beethoven thing. I'm looking at this picture right now. I don't see a single person playing an instrument. I don't know why it's called the concert. It's just a dude sitting in a chair with two chicks next to him. Maybe it was just Vermeer's way of saying that, like, dude, I fucking rule hard as fuck. Oh no, it says someone's playing the harpsichord, which is like a shitty piano. So it's really not a concert. It's just a dude trying to get pussy. It's just a painting. It's just like the equivalent of a dude bringing a guitar to like a place where you shouldn't bring a guitar to try to get put. You know what I mean? Like a dude with a guitar in a bar, like playing that shit, playing fucking the Lumineers to try to get pussy. That's what this painting is the equivalent of. So it's not a fucking concert, all right? Just took $10 million off the price. You're welcome. Um, but anyway, the thieves also stole Rembrandt's Storm on the Sea of Galilee, which is estimated at around $140 million, which I mean, just again, fucking absurd. And they probably didn't sell it for that much, especially because it's on the black market. So, but even if they got like a quarter of that money, they were set up for life. But the most valuable painting Titian's Rape of Europe was left untouched. Like they didn't even go to the floor that the painting was. They didn't even try to steal it. So this fact, combined with the esoteric nature of other stolen items, have led investigators to believe that this was a commissioned robbery. Like someone who was like a big fan of these painters and wanted the stuff in his house. Because like some of the stuff they stole was like little sketches and stuff that weren't worth like $100,000, or like combined weren't worth $100,000. Um, yeah, Degas. Yeah, they left like a ton of valuable paintings in there. So, and they also took like some Chinese pot that was worth, you know what I mean? Like 12,000, I think they said. Like less than 100. Like nothing compared to these other paintings. And I like to think that one of them took the Chinese pot because he was really into like, I don't know, like anime in the early 90s. And he was just like, fuck it, this is Japanese, right? All right, I'm taking this thing. And then he used it as an ashtray. So there's just some dude out there like with one of those oxygen tanks just ashing into like a vase he stole like 30 years ago. And at this point, it's like a big vase and it's like filled up with like ashes and cigarette butts. I don't know. I thought that was funny. Um, so yeah, they think it was maybe like a commissioned robbery. But I don't, it could have been really anything because this place just, it didn't fucking have any security at all. This is like Walmarts are more secure than this. You know what I mean? Like if you, I've tried to walk out with a PS5 before, and it was harder than trying to get this shit. You know what I mean? Um, but now we're on to the investigation, dude. Who done it? We'll get to that. I think it was a ghost. I think a ghost talked to some fucking retarded Irish dudes. A really racist ghost got some Irish dudes to steal paintings, sell them to, let's be honest here, probably some Arabs, like the Saudi royal family or something. That's my guess. I don't know. Um, but at first, the cops investigated the two security guards, obviously, but it was concluded that the guards were too incompetent and foolish, direct quote, to pull anything off, dude. These guys are like, yeah, these guys are some straight up fucking dunces, dude. Some straight up fucking Neanderthals. There's no way these fucking idiots could have done shit. Um, But yeah, they were like, these guys didn't do shit. They certainly didn't plan the robbery. I don't know, maybe like they could have been paid off, but it doesn't even, it seems like they're so stupid that you wouldn't even have to pay them off. You know what I mean? They probably could have like they probably could have put like a box, like rested it on a stick, put a string attached to the stick, and put like a hamburger and like some Playboy magazines underneath it. Pull the fucking string and attach and fucking, you know what I mean? Capture these two dudes in a box. Like that's the type of idiots we're dealing with. But the police investigated every gang and significant figure in Boston's organized criminal world, but ultimately found nothing. And these are like Irish mobs. These aren't like WAP mobs. Like at least the WAPs are like they can appreciate a bit of art here and there, you know what I mean? Like they got like Michelangelo and shit like that. But there's no way the fucking Micks are like 3 bottles of whiskey deep and they were like, I really wish I could look at a Rembrandt right now. You know what I mean? Like these guys are ripping dudes' kneecaps off. Yeah, they're not stealing Storm on the Sea of Galilee so that they can like torture dudes while they look at it. Um, but another guy that they investigated. This guy was just like an individual. He wasn't really involved in like the Boston crime shit. But his name was Brian McDevitt. He was a con man who attempted to commit an almost identical robbery. So here's what he tried to do. McDevitt dressed up as a FedEx driver and brought duct tape and handcuffs to try and steal a Rembrandt from a different museum. And like I said earlier, they stole a Rembrandt from the Isabella Stewart Gardner. That was one of the ones they stole. It was like the second most expensive one. And I was thinking, dude, so these guys were like, "We have a warrant out for your arrest," and this guy was like, "Oh, obviously it's the cops." Fucking, I don't know. I'm I'm from Boston, so I probably got drunk as fuck and like beat the shit out of one dude someday. And that dude was probably like, I don't know, mobbed up or something. And now the cops are coming to get me, so he's probably like fucking whatever. But I was thinking like if a FedEx driver like pulled up and like, what would like a FedEx driver arrest someone for? Like, you sent money through the mail. You know that's not advised. Get on the, you know what I mean? Like the FedEx SWAT team pulls up to arrest you because he sent money through the mail or something. Or like, I know you fucking put your thumb on that scale or like lifted the package up a little bit was when it was on the scale. That thing weighs 2.5 pounds, not 2.0. And then he fucking shoots someone in the head. That's what you get, you dirtbag. So that's yeah, this guy's plan wasn't the greatest. Um, but McDevitt's fingerprints did not match those taken from the crime scene. So fucking he's out. But another funny thing about him, so if you look him up, you know what I mean? Like on Google, how it like has underneath their name, it's like director or like actor or whatever. If you look this dude up, it has con man under his name. So this dude was just so famous as a fucking con, which makes him a shitty con man. Like the best cons are like the ones that you can just keep going for, like religion, like fucking what's that guy's name? L. Ron Hubbard. Like that's a really good con man. Like no one calls him a con man. Everyone calls him like a new age spiritual leader or whatever. So this guy was kind of a shitty con man, but McDevitt died in 2004 after conning his way into screenwriting. And it's like, dude, how can you look at something like screenwriting and be like he conned his way in there? Like it just doesn't make any sense. Like you could look at any one of them and be like, oh, they're all cons. Because it's like no one's an amazing screenwriter just right off the rip or whatever. Like everyone, you gotta lie to get into that business. You gotta be like, dude, I'm a fucking genius. I'm gonna make the best season of How I Met Your Mother ever, dude. Ted and Barney, they're gonna go crazy this season. Just you wait. You better fucking hire me for this shit. Um, but yeah, they're all fucking cons. So I don't know how you can say he conned his way into screenwriting. Like, did he lie and say he had a degree? Whether you have a degree, that doesn't make you better at writing because you have it. Like, I'm sorry to say it. I know people, like, I'm in college right now. Just because someone is in college and like they're getting a fucking degree in something doesn't mean that they're good at it in the slightest. It just means they have a degree in it. Um, but anyway, that is my little rant for this. And I'm gonna have a long ass rant for the end of this episode, dude. We still have 10 fucking minutes left. Um, but anyway, a letter was written to the museum director in 1994, and the author of the letter claimed to be one of the thieves and offered to return the works for 2.6 million, and this ultimately led nowhere. But that 2.6 million dollar number, like I was looking at it and I was like, dude, this is just some dude who's like 2.6. He like owes like the mob 2.6 million. He's like, dude, fuck it, what am I gonna do? How do I figure this out? It probably would have been more successful if he robbed the fucking museum, because this was like 2 or 3 years. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe someone did pay to have the security upgraded, like some like generous like fucking donor. As we'll talk about in a second, people freaked out over like the art world freaked out over this, but it probably would have been easier if people like pulled up. You wouldn't even have to rob it. You could like shoplift a painting from this place. Um, but yeah, that was my thought on the $2.6 million number. But privately funded bounties for the paintings have been offered, but they're nowhere even like close to the value of the works. Like really anything worth giving back at this point, no one has enough money to offer to get it back. You know what I mean? Like just those two paintings combined, what was it, $390 million total between two paintings, and like the biggest bounty they ever offered was 10 million. So yeah, it's not even worth it to give back like the Chinese pot and like risk being arrested. But like we'll say in a second, all prosecutors have stated that anyone involved in the crime will not be prosecuted as the statute of limitations have long passed. But they'll probably find like some way to fuck you over, you know what I mean? Um, like I don't know, take the money you got from it and be like, you earned this illegally. Um, but this is considered to be the greatest and most valuable art theft ever. So yeah, they just hit a nasty ass fuck. Not even a lick, dude. They just like it really can't even be. I guess it's a robbery because they handcuffed, but those guys didn't resist when they handcuffed them. They just let them get handcuffed. They didn't really give a fuck, and I wouldn't either. You know, unlike those fucking Walmart employees that like when you like pretend to scan an item at the fucking self checkout and they're like, "Oh, you didn't scan that one. You gotta scan it." It's like, dude, shut the fuck. I'm just trying to get paper plates, dude. Fuck off. But yeah, that's all I've got for the art theft episode, but we're only at 36 minutes, dude. So I gotta find some shit to talk about for 9 minutes. I guess the only thing on my mind is so I live in like an apartment, right? It's not like a full apartment, but it's like a school apartment. It's not quite a dorm, it's not quite an apartment. It's like a kind of an in between. But anyway, someone lives above me. They got a big old trans flag in the window, a big old that ugly. It's not a good looking flag, dude. The trans, look, you know what I mean? If I got some advice to offer, get a better flag, dude. I don't know. Just copy the American flag at this point. Just make the American flag the trans flag. That would be the ultimate like battle between the two sides, dude. That might start a civil war if the trans started flying the fucking American flag. But I mean, Big Kate's doing that, dude. Big Caitlyn Jenner, she's out there flying the flag more than most Americans, all right? And that's why I respect her. All right, her. You better not call her Bruce, dude. She's a true patriot. She just wants to kill homeless people and not fund public works. But anyway, dude. So it's a big old T flag up there, and I was imagining, dude. I was fantasizing to myself. I was like, dude, what if fucking the hot trans from Euphoria is up there, dude? What if her fine ass is up there getting fucked by the big dad dick from Euphoria? That's all I remember about you. I know it's vaguely about drugs, but I just remember that fucking the kind of hot trend. Definitely tricked me, got me, dude. I fell right into that spider's web, dude, and I wish she would have munched me up, dude. I wish that spider would have come and taken a bite out of me, but she didn't. But anyway, that's what I was imagining, dude. A nice fucking, you know what I mean, or maybe a Caitlyn, you know what I mean, like a big fucking like jacked one. And you're just like somehow they're doing like the female hormones and also doing like Tren and like Winstrol at the same time. But dude, and I saw her for the first time. It's one of those ones where it's so hard to tell. And this is something that I've like kind of thought about a fair bit, and I've like tried to like tell this observation to people like as a joke, but like there's a certain point. Like if you want to be non-binary, just start munching, dude. Because there's a certain point where you get so fat where you can't tell if it's a man or a woman. And I feel like if you want to be non-binary, like don't fucking like cut off your tits or your dick or whatever. Just get so fat that you can't tell if they're like man tits or woman tits. So that's my advice to the non-binaries. But anyway, dude, this absolute ogre just walking around up there hunched over. All my fantasies were ruined, dude. I thought it was goddamn. I almost broke my chair there, but I thought it was definitely like fucking. You know what I mean? I thought Bruce was chilling up there. I was like, dude, I definitely got a decathlete above me. A former male decathlete. I thought I had a 6 foot tall, broad ass shouldered tranny up there, dude. Just broad, just shoulders so broad that like the tit implants like don't, they just don't fit in there, dude. You know what I mean? just like shoulders so broad that her like tits are on like the side of her chest. You know what I mean? I thought I was dealing with that or fucking the hot one from Euphoria, but no, dude. I mean, absolute, not even Shrek. I think if anyone has seen, I guess Shrek is based off a book. I didn't know that, but apparently it's way different from the book. But anyway, it's kind of like Shrek is The Shining, dude. The Shreking. It's like the book is way different from the movie. But anyway, look up the drawings from the Shrek book. It it looked like that. And I hate to say it, dude. It just is what it is. But I guess the fortunate part about having a podcast no one ever listens to, it's just like, I mean, the fuck. What's anyone gonna do about it? No, no one's gonna do anything. The only person listening to this is like some federal agent trying to build a case on me, dude. But I was now, now I'm thinking about how Shrek is like The Shining, dude. Just a dude living completely isolated. It's kind of like a reverse Shining. You know what I mean? Like if a bunch of magical creatures, I guess it is kind of like The Shining. You know what I mean? What's that guy's name? Jack Torrance. He's like locked up in that hotel, and like a bunch of magical creatures come out, but they're not helping him and going on. I guess they do go on some whimsical adventures, right? Don't they go to like a ballroom or something? Ballrooms are fairly whimsical. And speaking of like old waspy shit, I was also thinking about how funny it is that, and I was thinking about it in like terms of like the Isabella Stewart Gardner chick, like the lady who like created this museum and stuff. I was thinking about how funny it was that like back in the old days, they had like those special like egg holders for soft-boiled eggs, like these like sterling silver egg holders. Like you can look it up, or not hard-boiled eggs, they ate soft-boiled eggs. But I was thinking like about how that used to be like the most decadent food, but nowadays, dude, if you see someone just eating like a straight up hard-boiled egg, they're just pulling it out of like a plastic. Like I've never seen anyone like crack a hard-boiled egg and then eat it, dude. They're always like pulling it out of like a plastic bag, you know what I mean? And it's like at a weird temperature where it's like part of it's somehow cold, but part of it's like body temperature warm, you know what I mean? Like you can tell the difference between like something that's just warm because it's been in the sun and then like body temperature warm, like half the egg is like that and then half the egg is like fridge cold and like chalky as hell, dude. Dude, if she could have seen our days. She would not have given a fuck about that art. She would have been like, you can put the fucking art whatever, wherever, dude. I'm gonna eat Sour Patch Kids. And that is kind of what modern, like, rich people do, or at least their kids. Their kids don't work anymore. They're not, collecting art, because at least art can appreciate in value. These kids are just eating Sour Patch Kids and, and trying to pretend to be poor in New York City. But that is all I have for this episode, dude. That's all I've got. No one's listening, but I do need to stop saying that because it is very annoying. Even as I'm saying, I'm like, dude, who cares? Who cares? Yeah, no shit, no one's listening. Oh, but anyway, I do have some exciting news. I did buy a mic, like a real mic for this, so hopefully that sounds better. And I was thinking like because I'm obviously not good at this, but like I might as well have like some decent audio quality on top of like not being good at it. You know what I mean? Because it's like no one's gonna listen if it's shitty audio quality and shitty content. So I might as well, you know what I mean, get some decent audio on there. So it should be pretty good. It should be better. There shouldn't be as many like me like laugh blow like you know what I mean? Like when I blow into the mic when I'm laughing. So it shouldn't be too much of that. But that is all I've got for today's episode, dude. We're back at school, so hope you have a good semester, good day, good week, good year, good life. Yeah, and hopefully I'll see you guys on Wednesday, which should be the first episode with the new mic. All right, peace.